Hello and welcome to Lisbon and the Age of Discovery. Today we're going to explore this historic city and discover how Portuguese explorers changed the course of history. Lisbon is a fascinating place, and whether you have a day off of a ship or it's part of a longer land-based trip, you're really going to enjoy this world-class city. If you arrive in Lisbon by ship, you'll sail in from the west, from the Atlantic, and on the port side or left-hand side, you'll see the Bellum Tower and the Monument to the Discoveries. The Bellum Tower was built in the 16th century and is 100 feet tall. This was the historic point of departure for Portuguese explorers as they sailed to Africa and India and into the New World. Just to the east of the Bellum Tower is the Monument to the Discoveries, designed in 1939. The monument features some 33 Portuguese explorers who all had a hand in the exploration process. So it includes monarchs, scientists, artists, and missionaries. The Monument to the Discoveries represents a romanticized vision of Portugal, which was popular under the dictator Salazar during his reign known as the Estado Novo, the new state. Behind the Monument to the Discoveries is the Jeronimos Monastery. This monastery was built in the early 1500s. It was secularized in 1833 and became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. It is best known today as the place where the tomb of Vasco da Gama lies. The 1755 earthquake is commemorated with the Rua Augusta Arch and Commerce Square. This triumphal arch and historical building are a major visitor attraction right along the waterfront of the Tagus River. Crowning the top of the arch is the statue of Glory, Valor, and Genius. Glory is some 23 feet high, as the statues themselves are over 100 feet above the ground, and they have to be monumental in order to be seen. As you sail into Lisbon along the Tagus River, you'll sail under the April 25th Bridge, which was built in 1966, which crosses the Tagus River and allows people to move from Lisbon to the south. Originally, the April 25th Bridge was known as the Salazar Bridge, but after the Carnation Revolution in 1974, it became known as the April 25th Bridge to commemorate the day of the bloodless Carnation Revolution. The bridge itself spans some 3,320 feet or 1,013 meters. As you sail under the 25th of April Bridge, on the south bank of the Tagus, you will see Christ the King statue, which was first built in 1949 and completed in 1959 and modeled after a similar statue in Rio de Janeiro. It was built in gratitude for the fact that Portugal had been largely spared much destruction during World War II. While you're touring in Lisbon, you can enjoy the Gulbenkian Museum. This fabulous collection of some 6,000 works of art was left to the city of Lisbon by Calouste Gulbenkian, who was a very wealthy oilman and could afford to buy the very best of everything. The museum itself traces much of human history, starting from ancient times all the way through to the late 19th century and into the early 20th century. Paintings include Rembrandt's famous Old Man. Looming over the city skyline is the Castello de São Jorge, the Castle of St. George. This castle was rebuilt into a palace in 1147 and then expanded after 1511. Much of it was in ruins after the 1755 earthquake, but it was renovated in 1938 so that much of what you see today as you're touring the castle is a reproduction. As you tour the castle, you'll be rewarded with glorious views from the hills of Lisbon looking south across the mighty Tagus River. The first king of Portugal was King Alfonso I, known as the Conqueror or the Founder. He won the Battle of Urique on July the 25th of 1139, and then in 1179, Pope Alexander III acknowledged Alfonso as the king and Portugal as an independent crown. Portugal has been independent ever since, with the exception of a 60-year period when King Felipe II of Spain ruled Portugal. Portuguese exploration began under Prince Henry, known as Prince Henry the Navigator, because he helped to promote and finance expeditions that worked their way along the west coast of Africa. Henry the Navigator also helped with maritime knowledge and the construction of new ships, including the caravel ship design that was so instrumental in successful exploration. During the 15th century, Portuguese explorers sailed further and further south along the west coast of Africa, until finally, in 1488, Bartholomew Dias rounded the Cape of Good Hope, thus establishing the possibility of an all-water route from Europe to India. Dias's men insisted that the expedition turn back, so it wasn't until 1498 that Vasco da Gama successfully rounded the Cape of Good Hope and then sailed to India. The most devastating event in Portuguese history occurred on All Saints' Day, November 1st, 1755, at around 9:40 in the morning, when a devastating earthquake hit the city. Between the earthquake, the fires, and the resulting tsunami from the Tagus River, over 85% of Lisbon was destroyed. In the aftermath of the devastating 1755 earthquake, the Prime Minister of Portugal, the Marquis of Pombal, set out to do several things. The Marquis of Pombal asked all the local parish priests to write a report about the events during the earthquake. For example, at what time did the earthquake begin and how long did the earthquake last? Did you perceive the shock to be greater from one direction than from another, for example, from north to south? Seismologists still refer to these reports to this day, as it's an important historical record into how the earthquake happened. As a result of the earthquake, the Marquis then set about helping to develop buildings that were more resistant to the effects of an earthquake. And that's our look at Lisbon and the Age of Discovery. I'm Eric Ball, wishing you calm seas and blue skies. Thank you and bon voyage. And obrigado.